Well, hi everybody. This is going to be a new venture for me. Um, Something I've been thinking about doing for a while. And I'm going to take a couple, actually a lot of things that I really like, and combine them into one video podcast, vlog, plog, whatever you call it. That's what I'm going to do. Um, right now, the working title for it is Running True. I had a lot of people say you should call it Cool Runnings, but I think that's already been taken. And so here's the gist of what I'm trying to do here. So you probably know that I started hormone replacement therapy 15 months ago. I think I have talked about that at length. And since that time, my body has gone through a lot of changes. I've had, actually I started out about 188, 189 as far as my weight. And now I'm up to about 193, which is not much at all. But the weight has been really redistributed across my frame quite differently than where it was before. I'll probably talk about that at length later. But the big thing about this was that it really affected my running. My wife Sarah and I both have done ultra marathons, and what you may ask is an ultra marathon. It's basically anything over a regular marathon, 26.2 miles, whatever it is. So if you ran 26.5 miles, you've ran an ultra marathon. And I've never ran one longer than a 50K, which is 31 miles. And we used to run a lot, and I used to run a lot. And I found, for one thing, I got really busy with the hormone replacement thing and the coming out to my family and the coming out to work and all these other things. And I really neglected my running. I was never a great runner, but I could run a really long time and seemed to enjoy it. And as I started running again, I tried running after maybe 4 or 5 months of being on the hormone replacement therapy, and it really sucked. It was really hard. So I'm going to back up. I'm going to back up a little bit. What I want to talk about is back in 2016, last year, in March, or actually, yeah, March 18th, Sarah and I were running a race in Anzo Borrego. I believe that's how you pronounce it, down in Southern California. It was an ultramarathon, a 31-mile one in the desert. We came from being here about 40 degrees and then went down there and where it was 95 degrees in the desert. And we didn't last long. We actually wound up self-eliminating through the thing at about I think it was about the 20-mile mark. We called it quits. So, but anyways, one of the things that always went on when Sarah and I went to these ultra marathons, or actually went on vacation to a lot of places, including our favorite place, Bellingham, to visit our son Ike when he was at Western, or Seattle to visit Aiden, who was at UW, was that we would talk a lot about my trans stuff. And I was only out to her, I'd been out to her, like I said, 22, 23 years. And we always talked about what it would be like if I actually transitioned, or things like that, things of that nature. So this time she actually had an ask of me, and that was at this ultramarathon to tell our boys about me being transgender. So I did that, and it was really hard. It was not as hard as telling her all those years ago, but it got hard. It was not as hard, and then as I came out to more and more people, it got to be easier and easier. But the thing was, I really realized that running has been for me a real catalyst of a lot of thought and a lot of putting things together. When I'm out running, kind of in my own head, one of the things that I would run and think about a lot was my transgender stuff in my head, and the what ifs and the history of being a kid and experiencing that and not being out and all that. So anyways, so running has a really has been a big part of my life. Like I said, I've never been a great runner. I mean, you know, I'm not in the top 10 of anything, top 10% probably, but I've always enjoyed it. And it was really weird that when I got back into it, tried to get back into it, I just couldn't really do it. My mind wasn't there. And a couple times I did go out and I ran, and I started to kind of have an appreciation that, well, maybe running's going to be different for me than what it was. And with that in mind, it got to be a little bit easier, I guess, or more enjoyable. But I sure didn't stick with it. And what I'm trying to do in this video series, I'm going to check in like once a week. And I'm going to tell you where things are with my running as I train for another ultramarathon. And it's going to be, I'm going to train for the Spokane River Run, which is really a fun one. If you ever get a chance to do it, it's pretty easy. April 22nd, 2018. And so I've got a lot of time to go basically from zero to running 31 miles up and down hills and stuff. I have a lot of other writing projects going on, fun stuff usually. So this is going to be really unscripted, and I know I'm going to forget about some stuff. I did make some notes here. I was going to talk maybe a little bit about numbers. I like to keep track of numbers, of how far I run, and all that. I usually wear a running watch, which is dying now. It's pretty old. But this video stuff might turn into like a talk about trans stuff, maybe talk about training stuff, maybe a talk about equipment, because I love technology. And so I'll be probably quick to buy a new running watch and review that and let you guys know if I do that. All that stuff. And in the meantime, I'm also doing a lot of home fermentation of vegetables and poetry and all that kind of junk. As you guys might know from my Haiku Friday, I do like poetry. So anyways, that's what I'm going to do. And I want to keep it under 10 minutes because I don't want to take up a lot of your time. But I just want you to know this is the project that I want to be doing. And part of it is an accountability, I guess, that I will keep with it and get out there and do the running. That's going to be tricky to stay healthy. I get bad case of plantar fasciitis in my left foot lots of times if I go too fast. So like I said, I'm starting from zero, and I'm going to be up to 0 miles per week, and I'm probably going to be up around 80 miles a week or so before the actual run. That's my goal. And of course, will be the dead of winter. It'll be in the snow. A lot of my running consists of running to and from work. I work a 24-hour schedule. So that'll be a big part of it. And so we'll kind of review some thoughts I've had during the run, hopefully progress a little bit. I'll talk maybe next time about some measurements and body stuff and things like that with my running. Anyways, I hope you tune in. I hope it appeals to people who are curious about training, who are curious about trans stuff, who are curious about Spokane, because I do love our city. And I would love if you have questions for me or things you want me to talk about. I would love to do that too. So thanks everybody. And here we go. I'm not running today. I'm waiting until December 1st because I'm a procrastinator, and then we'll be back in it again. Okay, I'll see you next week for, what am I calling this thing again?